I do not want to be in the state of Idaho and we fail to penalize crimes that are illegal.
Well, we do penalize crimes. We just don't force a mandatory minimum sentence for minor ones, but we might. Following up on something we talked about yesterday, bills taking a second lap around the State House after failing in the previous go-round. This afternoon, Republican Representative Bruce Skog and, as you saw, Jordan Redmond had another chance to have their mandatory minimum fine for marijuana get a full committee hearing. And you might remember last year, they tried to make that mandatory minimum a nice $420 for anyone caught with 3 ounces or less of marijuana. Now, putting aside the mandatory marijuana puns dropped by Representative Skog last session, that bill, it died in committee after several lawmakers pointed out commanding such a punishment would take away judicial discretion. There was also the concern of the financial strain of $420 in court costs on top of that. They would be putting that on low-income people who already find themselves, struggling to pay for things like rent and food, and now find themselves with a nonviolent drug conviction. That didn't stop Representative Skog and Jordan Redmond to bring it back again, though, this time dropping the minimum fine to $300 and having it not apply to those under the age of 18. That did not change the testimony, though, of those who stepped up to oppose House Bill 7, including several veterans who would like to see Idaho's stance on marijuana go, well, the other way, at least when it comes to its medicinal benefits, like Sergeant Jeremy Kitzhaber, a disabled veteran with stage 4 cancer. Cancer, he says, he got from his time in the Air Force handling radioactive materials. He said he's been prescribed opioids to deal with the pain of his treatment, which he said are much more dangerous than marijuana. Even though he has not used marijuana, he wouldn't want to see the punishment for those who choose to use it for pain mandated. Sergeant Kitzhaber also pointed out another issue he sees with this bill, after looking through all 89 chapters of Idaho Code on crimes and punishments.
If House Bill 7 is passed, it would be disproportionate to all other misdemeanors in the state of Idaho, and it would single out this one specific crime. There is no other minimum fine I could find for a misdemeanor in the state of Idaho under these statutes.
And that's true. No other misdemeanor conviction carries a minimum penalty. They all have maximums, but no minimums. Like if you drink and drive drunk, or you're impaired, you assault somebody, or you try to strangle them, if you start a riot, if you commit domestic battery, sexual battery, or a doctor sexually assaults a patient. All are misdemeanors and all threaten public safety, but none of them have a mandatory minimum attached to them. Representative Redmond said the purpose of the bill was to provide conformity in the judicial system and create a deterrent. Well, in today's more than 2 hours of testimony, conservative organizations spoke in favor of it, while those who want to legalize medicinal marijuana, they spoke against it. Law enforcement supported it, while defense lawyers didn't, because they know mandatory minimums, well, they aren't a deterrent, but mostly because they also see it as a blurring of the lines between the branches of government. The judicial branch should not interfere in the legislative and vice versa.
We put great thought into our selection of judges in Idaho. We should trust them to know their cases individually. We should trust them to exercise their judgment appropriately in each case. I'm here to tell you that liberal Idaho judges who hand out candy sentences is not a thing. I practice all across the state, federal court, state court. I've practiced in, I believe, in every county now. In the state of Idaho, that's not a thing. Our judges should be trusted to do the right thing.
So that part was taken to heart by a lot of the lawmakers today, and there was some intrigue toward the end of the hearing. There was a secondary motion to hold the bill in committee, and that almost passed, failing by just 2 votes. Even staunch conservative representatives Heather Scott and Barbara Ehart, they voted to hold it in committee, not wanting to take that sentencing discretion away from the judge. Instead, the committee then voted 10-4 to send it to the full House with a do-pass recommendation.